Hello and that was a bit loud, wasn't it? Should I do that a bit quieter?
It was a bit loud. Could you? Yeah, please take two.
Hello. Oh no, I've got
split the difference, love.
I've gone the other way now, haven't I? Should I just try and do one down the middle?
The other way. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Comedy Slab. I'm Shane O'Connor. He's Adrian Lacey. And if you're not caught up with this podcast before, let me tell you all about it. Can I tell you all about it?
Well, something about it at least.
All right, I'll tell you a little bit. Each week we choose a comedy programme to watch or listen to, because sometimes it could be a radio offering, or we've even chosen stuff off the internet once or twice. In fact, BBC Three, I don't think operate. They're talking about bringing BBC Three back, aren't they?
Yeah, at the expense of BBC Four. I can't keep up.
When did the phrase terrestrial television go out and linear television come in?
About the time where I suppose catch up caught on.
Oh.
Well, it's not called catch up, is it? Me and my mouth.
On demand.
On demand. Oh, demand.
This podcast's a bit like this. This is kind of not in demand, which is
bit like you and your services.
Slightly different. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, we choose a comedy programme every week to watch and listen to, and then we chat about it. We talk about what we liked, talk about what we didn't like so much, what we weren't so keen on. We'll also play you 3 clips throughout the podcast, and before we leave you, we'll each give it a mark out of 5, giving it a total mark out of 10. I always struggle with that one. You're
not a maths major, are you? Or even a maths minor?
I'm not even a maths corporal. That's how bad I am. Did we do that gag last week?
If we did, we've managed to forget it. And they don't know, do they, if they weren't listening last week?
No, true. Because nobody mentioned privates, that's all. I just thought it was an opportunity wasted.
That's not like us, is it?
That's all, yeah. No, not for a bit of smut, mate, I tell you. Anyway, it was my turn to choose last week. We choose alternate weeks. I think I said that, didn't I? And
I think so.
I reluctantly chose The Reluctant Landlord, featuring Romesh Ranganathan. In fact...
you didn't really reluctantly choose it, just to be clear. You were just trying to be arty.
It's been on my radar for quite a while, actually, and I kept meaning to, on a sort of personal level, not a comedy slab level. I kind of kept thinking, I must watch that, and then I thought, well, the only way I'm going to actually get round to do this is if I'm forced to do it, and that's
well, you force yourself to do it,
and that's how I ended up. But before we go into that, I just wanted to do something. I just want to bounce something off you. We've been having a bit of a clear out. I think a lot of people have, because of the lockdown. A lot of people are kind of clearing all their rubbish out. Have you had a clear out, or are those?
No, I've had a clear in. It's messier now than it was at the beginning of lockdown.
You ruined that. That was a great gag, though. I just
Sorry.
thought that. I was going to say, have you had a clear out, or are they camouflage trousers? I didn't.
Okay, fine. You're in one of those moods, aren't you?
I really like that one. That one just sprung to me at the time.
Make a note.
So we're having a clear out, and I got some stuff from my radio days, and I found some of my fan mail. And
when you say some, you mean you found the fan mail.
I found the letter.
The mail from the fan, who happens to be male.
I don't want to drag this out. I just want to share it with you. Can I just get straight in and just read you the letter that I got when I worked in radio? They weren't all like this, but this one was. It says, Mr. O'Connor, which I always thought, that's a good start.
Not a good start.
No, I thought
it's a bad start.
Oh, right, okay.
It's too distant and formal.
Well, the bank
it's going to be a complaint,
like
isn't it?
Yes.
It would be. No, you try and make out. Well, exactly. It's never good news. Carry on.
It says, Mr. O'Connor, completely talentless people such as yourself have to resort to base insults as a way of getting attention. I thought, what you writing to me for, big ears?
It might look like my handwriting, but I deny all knowledge.
Right. It goes on to say, you have insulted cripples, the Welsh. Redheads
Can only get worse.
And recently suggested all Harley riders are fat.
Can I check, over what period does he accuse you of doing this? Not in the same show.
I don't think it was the same show, probably the same week, but I don't really know. I mean, when I read it, I thought, my God, what had I been doing? He says, I cordially invite you to our next meeting, brackets, the Harley Owners Club, and ask you to repeat that statement to our 150 members, most of whom are fit, muscular, manual workers. He meant they're all fat, really.
Don't make it worse.
he said,
I've got to work with you.
Oh, this was written in 2003. This is a long time ago. He said, they're all manual workers, a subject you know little about, as I suspect you've never done a day's work in your life.
No, he got that right. I'm not going to slam him for that.
A good few are also ex-miners who spent their working days in a hellhole 1,000 foot underground.
That's not meant to be funny, you rotter.
Sorry. I'm thinking, why didn't they just go to the mine instead?
When he said hellhole, I was thinking of the radio station where we met.
Exactly. He said they go to a hellhole 1,000 foot underground where you could lose 7 to 10 pounds in body weight just by sweating. Well, sounds like me, Lanzarote, to be honest with him, but there you go. He said, you come up here from the whole of England, insulting us and our culture, which you know nothing about, laughing at your own jokes, I can assume that no one I know is, which is intensely infuriating Brummie accents and have ruined our radio station's morning broadcasts.
Hang on, when he says you've come up here, is that Coventry?
Birmingham that was from, I think, yeah. It's because I came from Birmingham. Yeah. Mm. Well, Birmingham, I mean, where else does he mean the whole of England? What are you... What does that mean to you?
Oh, there are many candidates.
True.
Wherever I live, usually is defined that way. But.
He said, you would do well to listen to Paul Mackenzie and learn about humility, respect. That was another presenter. Humility, respect and wit. He does not need to resort to insults and has talent and treats all people with civility and respect. He knows his stuff and heritage of Derbyshire. So do us all a favour, get on the A38 and don't stop till you get back to that hole you came from and stay there. Unless, of course, you're able to come to our next club meeting.
Oh, you smooth-talking rotter. Well, I'm sure he persuaded you after all that.
Oh, dear. As he finishes by saying, by the way, you insult all the girls at Radio Derby because there's a slaphead, and worse still, a Brummie slaphead. None of them like you anyway, so they think you...
No, he got that bit right as well.
You think they don't like you because you insult them. Wrong, it's because you're a
Where can I sign? Sorry, I thought it was a petition.
Oh, dear. Oh, thanks. Oh, dear.
Well, where to begin? Well, get yourself a Harley Davidson and put on a few pounds.
Are you saying I'm fat? Is that what you're saying there?
No, I said put on a few pounds. Oh, he's so tetchy.
I just love the way he's like, there's all the insults, and then he said, why don't you go back to where you came from, unless you're available to come to our next meeting. Oh, dear. So anyway.
Well, how much would they have to pay you before that you'd actually say yes to that? Because everyone's got his price.
I'd have gone and done it, to be honest with you, but... I don't know. I just thought
it could turn ugly, couldn't it? 150 of them and one of you.
When we look at stuff like when people comment now on the podcast and that, and you think, mate, you're gonna have to do better than that. We've had letters like that. So did you never get any mail like that? No. I sent them. Did you not get them?
No, they were filtered by my executive assistant.
Oh.
I once was upbraided, I think would be the term, by a woman for I used the word boobs on air.
Oh, my life.
Only the word, I didn't get them out. And I was quoting, and I thought I got away with that from it. I was quoting from another woman's text. The joke was, I was trying to say, what was it? It was something to do with Big Brother. This is some years ago where it's a bit more of a novelty then.
Yeah.
And I was pretending that I had my own, I was creating a reality TV show, or I was, it was a fiction that knew it was a fiction, and it was just a way to generate some incoming. And so this woman said, "Oh, can I be in your Big Brother house? I've got blonde hair, I'm not very bright, and I've got big boobs." Right. So I read it out as was. I thought, who can be offended by the B word of that nature?
Yeah.
But the answer came with another woman who was offended.
And was it a letter?
No, it was a text. No one wrote letters by then. I'm not important enough to get, what was it? How many pages was that?
That was only three, but you did write quite big.
Only.
I suspect it was crayon, but yeah. So.
No, it was a text. I remember the wording. It was, "Why do you have to be so rude?"
I don't know. I just like it.
That's the kind of wild man of rock I am.
Did you read that out as well? Did you read her?
No, I didn't. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction.
Oh, I used to. It's like a red rag to a bull.
You loved it.
Yeah, I was terrible. Anyway, sorry, I just thought I'd share that with you. So I hope you like it.
I enjoyed it. I can't speak for anyone listening.
The Green Pen Brigade. Anyway, on with the Reluctant Landlord. Now, before we go to our first clip, I need to tell you what I thought you liked about it, whether you liked it or not. Is that right?
That's the gist of it. Yes, I was hoping by now it would get smoother, but as your faltering style suggests,
I think that ship sails.
It's not getting any better.
Unless I write it down somewhere and remember to read it.
You invented this feature, so you've only got yourself to blame.
God, I'm sorry. I did as well. I am really sorry. All right, I won't drag it out. I think you like this. I think you liked it. I think it was. I think you enjoyed it, although there weren't any. You didn't have many laugh out loud moments, but I think you thought, despite that, we've done that before, haven't we? It's like you're not cracking your face all over the place, but you enjoyed it. I think if we put it in numerical terms, out of 5, I think you give it a 4. That's what I think. Is that all right?
Think what you like. I'm not. You trying to trick me into saying whether that's correct?
Yeah. I don't know why, because I don't get anything if I get it right before the clip or after the clip or even indeed at the end of the podcast. So.
You get a smug feeling of satisfaction. Anyway, lead us into the first audio clip.
All right. We very soon realised that... Why do they do that? This is something we can ask after the clip, maybe. I'll just let it hang out there. But I've always wondered why... when they have somebody who is a comedian who is in a sitcom, they always use their real name. And the one I thought immediately was Miranda is another one, where she was called Miranda. I don't know whether she was Miranda Hart but she's called Miranda in the thing. Anyway, and to this end, the main character who's played by Romesh, Ranganathan, he's actually played by he's actually called Romesh, isn't he?
Isn't it pronounced Romesh?
Romesh. You say potato. No one says potato. But yeah, so what did you say? Romesh?
I think
Rubbish.
Romesh. No, stop it.
Okay. Romesh, and I presume it's his wife. We've not seen any proof, birth, marriage certificate or anything like that. We didn't see the photos, but his, I presume, wife Natasha are in the pub. Is it apparent there? Yes, it's the first establishing shot you see is the outside of a pub, so you know they're in a pub. They're upstairs in the living quarters. Their 2 kids are there as well. They're having breakfast. Well, sort of having breakfast.
Charlie, when you came in and said, here's a coffee, I'm not sure that was entirely accurate.
I made it.
What is in it?
Butter.
Why?
It's butter coffee. I read about it. It gives you energy, improves your focus.
What, you read about it? Have you drunk it?
No, I've cut out caffeine. And butter.
Right, well, I like butter and I like coffee, but not together. Same as I like Wu-Tang Clan and Bake Off, which actually sounds like an incredible combination.
You need to get dressed if you're going to drop the kids, unless you're staying in your pyjamas. Make the other mums jealous when they see what I get to wake up to. Are you going to speak to Charlie's teacher like we agreed?
No, I will not speak to Charlie's teacher like we agreed. It'll sort itself out, don't make a thing of it.
Yeah, that's from my breakfast. I made you one. It's a kale and celery smoothie. The stalks don't really blend it, to sieve it out and reblend it a couple of times.
Right, have you got anything to go with it that won't make me want to kill myself?
They're vitamins and digestive aids. A couple of the partners in work are doing the juice boost diet. It's really caught on. Oh, it really helped me stick to it if we could do it together at home.
Right, well, if everyone at work is doing it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is, here we are talking to Charlie about peer pressure, and now, because of your work colleagues, we're having to drink garden.
I think it needs a lift.
What was it, your comedy sting?
It was, comedy sting, and by golly, it's stung. Do you want to go straight to the headline, or do you want a scene set?
I don't know, go to the headline and let's get it, just whack it out on the table.
And I'll give you the headline. Oh, it's so sophisticated, our humour. That's why we sound so smug, because we've invented a new form of humour that's way ahead and more intellectually stimulating and satisfying than any other on earth. It is, quite simply, I'm afraid, the reluctant viewer.
Oh, man.
Reluctant to say it as well.
Oh, man, it was one way or the other, wasn't it? It was going to go one way or the other.
Well, I'm a bit bipolar with shows, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm really shocked and disappointed.
Well, sound it.
I'm really shocked and disappointed.
That was worse. That was less shocking and more disappointing, but not in the right way.
That just sounded like I was from Liverpool.
Can't help it. I'm a born Beatle impersonator.
I'm a natural born shocked and disappointed person. My flabber is gasted. I must admit, you know when we watch these, we watch them separately. Obviously, because, what I didn't mention is that we're about.
We don't hold hands.
We're about. We'd find it difficult when we're about 160 miles apart, something like that.
170, I make it. We invented the lockdown long before it was actually thought of.
Yeah. And then we had the lock up after that, didn't we? And then we went back to lockdown
and the lock
again.
in.
And when I was watching it, like normally we'll say, "Oh, we're watching it." I was thinking, "Oh no, why have I subjected him to this?" And I was watching it, and I was kind of smug sitting there thinking, oh, "He'll love this."
And what? That's you confessing you didn't love it?
No, I really enjoyed it. Goodness
for that.
Really enjoyed
it. I am pleased, but we obviously can't agree.
No. Go on then.
No, I was just wondering what you were doing. We could see each other on FaceTime, and you suddenly went horizontal, like you were going to say, I look at life like this.
I'm sorry. We've started, instead of Skype, which seems to be able to handle landscape and portrait, we're using FaceTime now. For some reason, the Apple Corporation can't seem to handle, whether it's horizontal or vertical.
Were you trying to trick it into thinking that you were a portrait?
No, I had a Facebook message came in because it was on my phone and I couldn't read
you
what
look
it
at
was.
life like this. Right. Oh, anyway.
So, yeah.
Enough of the visuals on an audio podcast. Yes, you're going to tell... You loved it, right? Okay. No, I'm genuinely pleased because... It's one of those things. I wanted to like it, and clearly a lot of work's gone into it. And I did a bit of... I had to remind myself what his stand-up act was like, because I hadn't seen it for a while. And I'm not massive fan of what he does, but he's clearly highly competent at stand-up, and I did chuckle a bit. It was only a short sequence anyway, so I would probably have warmed up. His wife is Sian Gibson. I think she's really good.
Have you seen her in Peter Kay's car share?
Yeah, I was going to say that's what I knew from. Yeah. Well, I had to think. I'll be honest, I had to look it up, but I knew her, and having looked it up, that's it. Now, remind me, we're series 1. Is this episode 1? It is, isn't it?
This is episode 1, yeah, Dirty Harry.
Now, here's a strange thing. There wasn't much, maybe this makes me sound very old-fashioned, I'm sure it does. There wasn't much of a scene set saying, we got there eventually, I suppose that's all right, but it wasn't really explaining why he was a reluctant landlord off the bat. But
no, and you see, I liked it for that, and I'd actually put...
Yeah, maybe I'm being square.
I'd put that in my notes. I thought that was a good thing, because I thought that one of my pet hates, and we've talked about this before in other podcast episodes, is the unrealistic dialogue, which is just there to signpost what's going to happen, what has happened, what the plot line is, what the overarching storyline is, and all the rest of it, and you kind of think, nobody would say that. You wouldn't say that in that context. I thought the way that they wrote in, and there were a couple of examples when they were saying about, he was saying a complaint about his wife had signed up to this juice diet thing, and he was saying she put pictures of him on Instagram or whatever, some social media, and he went, "Oh, she's a lawyer as well," kind of, which is something that you would say, but filled in gaps for you quite. Did you not think, because at the end of that episode you still didn't know really why he was a reluctant landlord, did you, other than it was his dad's pub?
Well, and I suppose aren't we expected to join the dots? dad's died, it's fairly obvious that if his dad hadn't died, he wouldn't be falling over himself to be a landlord. But here's the thing: for me, there's a credibility problem, and you might just say I'm being dull and I'm not suspending disbelief enough and being generous about it. But you have to believe in the universe of any show, don't you? Really, or suspend disbelief in it.
Yeah.
It's not the first time we've said this, and I'm certainly not the first person to say it. There's some major credibility things. I mean, should I worry that I cannot think of a single time I've seen an Asian landlord? And it's not a big deal, except that it is a big deal in a way, because a lot of the show is, if people don't already know, Sian Gibson is white, so we're into an interracial marriage, mixed race kids. That is quite central to it, and it's clearly central to his identity. And then I thought, why haven't I seen any Asian landlords? And I'm just thinking, I mean, I would have to be deeper in the culture, and people might be shouting at their pod playing device, well, I know this one and this one. One reason might be if there's a religious element. Muslims generally are required not to drink, so that would be one very good reason not to have a Muslim landlord.
Right. Although he's not Muslim, is he? I don't think Romesh isn't Muslim.
No, he's actually.
I don't think the character is either. I didn't get the impression that he was.
No, I mean, but his roots, interestingly, are Tamil, aren't they?
I was going to say, is he Sri Lankan heritage? Is he? I don't.
Yeah,
I thought he was
Sri Lankan
yeah.
Tamil. I believe I read.
I've been to Sri Lanka, and I can't. I would have said he was Sri Lankan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of fabulous. What a great country that. I mean, it was pretty still hot in the north. I mean, when I mean hot, I mean terrorism in the north of the island. But yeah, what a great place to visit. Fabulous people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Garden of India. It's very like Kerala down the bottom of India where it's all very green and lush and nice. Well, as you go further,
I've never been there.
Further onto Sri Lanka, it's amazing. Yeah, it is nice. Anyway, sorry, go on. Yeah, so
which makes the conflict all the more tragic.
Yeah,
notionally, it's.
I'm just trying to think whether I've, and I'm sure in the West Midlands, I've known Asian landlords in pubs. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a massive drinker, so I'm probably
me neither. So we're probably
place.
not the best authorities.
Yeah.
But I would think that I would be able to recall it. But anyway, that wasn't sort of eating me away the whole time, but it does sort of raise its head early on, I think. And then there's, do we believe in butter coffee? Is the joke that it is unbelievable? Again, people might be shouting at their pod playing devices, but I've got to at least believe that she, who is on a health kick, tells him it's healthy. She's read it somewhere. And she's a lawyer, so she's quite educated.
Yeah.
And yet she believes it's healthy for him to have butter and coffee together.
I mean,
because it's not like it's not an alternative universe that's so different from our own. That's why I'm raising it.
No, you make a good point, and
they don't go around with hoverpods on their backs, and it's not Futurama, is it?
No. Okay, I've just googled it actually. And it says that butter coffee is a drink consisting of brewed coffee, unsalted butter, and medium chain triglycerides.
Thought they died out with the dinosaurs.
An easily digested type of fat. It's similar to bulletproof coffee, which is developed by an entrepreneur.
No, I look silly now. Oh well, I should
well.
have done my
Do you know what, mate?
Butter coffee research clearly.
I'd have been there with you, and I because what I was going to say was what they didn't say was how much butter you put in. It was just I thought kind of got the impression it was like a lot, half a teaspoonful or whatever. And
it's not a recipe show. Salted butter's fine, organic's fine, whichever you like.
It's strange, isn't it, that is the thing? It's
I look very silly. That has to be fed into the following analysis. Of mine.
Don't feel bad. Just have another sip of your margarine tea and.
Well, you say margarine tea. It's more, I can't believe it's not butter coffee.
I can't believe it's not better.
Yes. Bob. Yeah, I can't believe that gag wasn't planned earlier. Yeah, so they're just a thought, but these sort of things, they're little niggles, but they didn't help me get into it. They stopped me getting into it.
And that's the problem, isn't it? Is that I've done that before. Is that then gives you your mindset, doesn't it? Because even if you just stopped the program and gone and Googled butter coffee and gone, oh well, actually it is a thing. But then that would have just been going around in your mind going, butter coffee? What the hell's that? What are they doing?
Actually, and there are possibly, I think, more fundamental problems. It's just a personal taste thing. His delivery, I didn't warm to it. It's undersell. And there's no point me saying he should do it this way, he should do it that way. It's how he delivered it. He created the show, although he didn't actually write it. We'll get to the writer in a bit. But he's directed in a certain way. One assumes he's in tune with the director, and that's how they want to do it. I just think, and people may, if they heard last week's or the other week analysing Only Fools and Horses, they'll pick holes in my consistency. There isn't any consistency, because I was complaining that was too big, wasn't I?
But that is the point of the podcast, though, isn't it? Is that this is talking about gut reaction. It isn't about you, because you can't take a comedy program and analyse it in such a way that your analysis will make sense, because it's a visceral reaction, isn't it? It's not we're not sitting here going, oh, and on this scale this happened, and got the clapometer on the blooming thing. You can't do. You can only do it like that. Hold that thought about his delivery, because that's something that I actually noticed as well. Should we have another clip, and then and then we'll talk about the delivery, because I think that's quite an interesting point as well, because I felt exactly the same as you did, but for me it changed, and we'll talk about that in a second. The clip, the episode is called Dirty Harriers. I think Adrian mentioned early on. Which refers to, as we find out, refers to an old regular. Romesh and his mate Lemon. I was a bit disappointed in the first. I know they'll probably explain it, but they never really explained why he was called Lemon, did they? Unless I
was he wearing a yellowish top?
Oh, I never picked up on that one.
Well, it certainly wasn't bright yellow, but I sort of half caught it and then half forgot to look at it the next time.
I didn't know whether. The writer is a guy called Shaun Pye, and I don't know whether he had written.
I thought it was Will Smith.
Oh yes, sorry, actually, he was on this episode. He wrote.
Or maybe it's just Sean's written other episodes.
Yeah, Shaun had written other episodes. But I just wondered whether, I was thinking maybe he'd written that part for himself, and that he used to be known as Lemon because his name was Pye. That's where I came to with it all.
You've heard of the concept of overthinking, but no, you might be right.
I think it's the medication I'm taking. I think I can't sleep at night. I just lie there thinking about this stuff. So Romesh and his mate Lemon, we still don't know, and the barmaid there are chatting when in walks an old regular.
Hey, Harry, have one on the house, mate, to celebrate getting out. Back. Wherever you've been. I mean, it's not my business, really. How was it outside? Wherever you were before you came here.
Sorry to hear your dad passed. It's good you kept the place going. You know, him and me, we used to do a bit of business.
Yeah, you once sold him a lot of condemned meat.
That was prime cut.
It was green.
Anyway, I come across a lorry full of gourmet pickled eggs. Quality stuff.
Oh, what exactly is a gourmet pickled egg?
It's different flavours. You got spicy, cheese, garlic, curry. They're past the sell-by date, but I change the labels. I mean, they ain't going to go off, are they? I mean, they're pickled. 200 quid the lot.
Things are a bit tight at the moment. I mean, maybe next month?
Fair enough. They'll fill her up. I'll pay for this one, though. I had a bit of luck while I was away up in Scotland.
Before I forget, before the men or women in wigs or silk or suits wrap my knuckles, it's What Larks Productions in association with Ranga B, I'm guessing it's pronounced. And that's so a dual sort of production credit. Dirty Harry looks the part. That's certainly the case. He looks like he's lived a life.
Did you know? Did you recognise who? I don't know if you've seen this actually. I don't know if you know.
I felt I'd seen him before, but I couldn't put a name to him.
Yeah, he's the actor's name is Phil Davis.
Right.
And he actually played. I don't know if you remember the BBC biopic, The Curse of Steptoe. This is going back to 2008. So
he played Wilfred Bramble.
He did. He played Wilfred Bramble. You're absolutely bang on, yeah. And I've kind of loved his work ever since. I thought he was just awesome in that. And I've loved his work ever since. But he does always kind of play that sort of, dodgy,
geezer,
Larry, kind of geezer sort of thing.
Well, I'm not sure if Wilfred Bramble would have liked being described as dodgy, but...
Sorry, go on. We were talking about...
you asked me something, didn't you?
Yeah, we were talking about delivery. You said...
Delivery, yes.
And I don't know what happened between the two of us, because we both started off in the same place where I thought exactly the same. I put on my notes, is he going to be able to cut it because of his delivery? But I kind of soon warmed up to that, and I don't know why you didn't.
The thing is, I once let's rewind, so I can dig an even bigger hole. Years ago, a friend said to me, I think we were watching The Young Ones, and it wasn't any of the major characters, but he looked at one character and said, "We're not a particularly good actor, is he?" And green as you like, but I told it like it was. I said, how are you gauging that? Because whatever he picked up on, I don't think had worried me.
Right.
He said, he looked at me, I thought he was going to give me, a list of 10 things. You've got to look for this, and this, and, the subtleties, blah, blah, blah. But he said, he just looked at me and sort of put his hands up in the air and said, just gut feeling.
Yeah.
It just didn't convince. In fact, I think that was the word. And whilst I've said, I think he's a strong stand-up, not vastly to my taste, but if someone said, when post-lockdown, if they said, we got a few tickets, come along, or if someone had a spare ticket, I'd definitely be up for it. I'd definitely have a good time, no question. I'm not sure he's mastered acting the same way he's mastered stand-up. There's something, he's clearly trying to play nervous, and it suddenly makes me think, well, where have I heard nerves in an actor where it's been a bit subtler than that? Because he's stuttering. It tells the story. Clearly he's nervous. Dirty Harry is a nasty piece of work.
Yeah.
We think he's just out of chokey. But it's just a bit, to coin a term, over pickled egged.
You see,
I think
the weird thing is, and I've never seen his stand up. I've never watched anything else that he's been in, because
really,
yeah, because I felt he'd been really overexposed for quite a period of time. I mean, he kind of clearly could do no wrong in terms of. He could get whatever work was offered to him, and he was offered quite a lot. And so you'd see him, Romesh goes off and does this, Romesh goes on holiday with his mom, and all these kind of programs, which don't really cut it for me. I'm not a fan of that kind of thing. He's done a lot of panel shows, and I'd kind of avoided him, believe it or not. Because I don't like those formats, I tend to then form an opinion of the artist based on that format, which you shouldn't do really.
Yeah, I'm glad you confessed that.
And so, but that's life, isn't it? That's natural. That's what you do. It's like you say, you take against a character. You don't really know why. You're not really quite sure, but. So I'd kind of avoided all that sort of stuff. Although I did come into it thinking, oh God, he's been in everything. And he's been on everything, and every time I turn on the TV, there's another trail for another programme, which is a kind of really loose premise to put Romesh in it. And so I wanted to see something that was solidly constructed, and I came away thinking, quite pleased. But as a result of that, I'd never even seen his stand-up, so I'm surprised that you did do that. You would have thought you would have been the one that would have said, oh, I'm convinced.
No, I mean, I think clearly acting and stand-up two very different things, and we could add to that being a presenter, which is in effect what you're doing on a travel log, say. Although, of course, if you're a comedian, they're going to expect some laughs, but there's not the same pressure, and there's a lot of it. It's, well, who knows if it's as ad-libbed as it appears to be, but, you know, there are three different art forms, if one's wanting to use that term, or three different styles, certainly, at the very least. So it doesn't follow that you can do all three. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, kind of thing.
You see, that kind of thing drives me nuts. Trevor McDonald is the one that I think of the most. They give him all these great opportunities to go off, and Trevor McDonald interviews these people, and he has, you know, I don't know if he does in real life, but in these programs, he appears to have no warmth at all, no connection with the people that he's talking to.
Why are you watching them then? Everyone's asking themselves, like me.
What do you mean? Why am I watching what?
Trevor McDonald.
Oh, I've seen clips of it, or I've watched 5 minutes of it and thought, I can't do it because of that. I can't deal with it, and it's right. I think presenting isn't an easy job, is it? You know, getting the best out of people isn't easy to do. It isn't just something that you can do if you've read an auto cue for 40 years.
And I'm still trying to get the best out of you. If this is the best, then heaven help both of us, frankly.
I'd never thought of that, but you're right.
I think you talked yourself into an early career grave there. Mind you, doing a show with me is tantamount to saying that anyway.
So sorry, my point was, or my question was, so why, having watched his stand-up and liked his stand-up, you still came away thinking, I don't really like him in this.
Yeah, the delivery is, just to add, hopefully adding something to what I said before, is it just feels thrown away, almost like, and this is how it feels. I'm not saying how it is, because it clearly can't be, or it wouldn't make sense for it. It feels like he doesn't believe in the script. That's my gut feeling as a reaction to the delivery. Reminds me of Glenda Jackson, who'd been pretty much only a straight actor back in the 70s, and then appears on the Morecambe and Wise, presumably Christmas show.
Yeah.
She probably did more than one show, thinking about it. But anyway, she said in a documentary, it came out, she went to Eric Morecambe and said, well, you know, I've done a lot of straight acting, but how do you get laughs? And he said, you just do everything faster and louder. And now, okay, that's with a studio audience, and it's only sketching it, and it's a really brief concept, but actually I wouldn't mind another 10, 20, maybe even 30% of Eric Morecambe in this.
Yeah.
Which, you know, might possibly sound utterly ridiculous to both to our listeners and to Mr. Ranganathan if he was listening. But that it is so flat that it's like, oh, right, you don't actually believe this is a comedy. Because if you throw it away, then you're not risking anything in a way.
And what about the writing? Did you come away believing in the words or not?
I've written down, there was a lovely line about, because in reaction to his wife going on this diet, I suppose, you know, sort of fancy, ultra-healthy diet, he says at one point, she's been radicalised, or it's like she's been radicalised. I quite like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the style is an undersell all round. So I liked the shape of it. Yeah. I'm in two minds as to, I don't want to issue too many spoilers, but I thought the drug sequence was interesting. But then again, that fell flat for me because it felt like they were slightly embarrassed by this, what I thought it could have been a really good comedic situation, was a good comedic situation, then undersold, I felt, all round by the performances or something. So, no, look, I admire it. And above all, and I will say this, I found myself in the middle of the night the other night wanting to say this, and I've possibly not said it in so many words, but for people who've done their own writing who are listening, it's stating the bleeding obvious, but it is something to create. So if he hadn't created anything, if the writer hadn't written anything, we'd have no show.
Yeah.
You and me.
Yeah.
So the fact that it exists at all to be critiqued, I think is a wonderful thing. So I don't want to be so negative. It's created an interesting world. I've said I've got problems with believability and so on, but it's an interesting world. It hangs together in other ways. The shape of it is nice. The resolution, which I won't spoil, felt very good. So there's loads that work.
Yeah.
Loads of bits that work. It's just, for me, not coming together as something that I warm to. Now, if I was this kind of guy who watched more than one episode, which I really ought to be, who knows? I might warm to it, but I'm not too optimistic, if I'm honest.
You see, I thought, you know, when they talk about gentle comedies and, you know, kind of things or family comedies, maybe something like, you know, perhaps family stretching it a bit, but gentler comedies. I kind of, this is the kind of thing I would like to see. I thought it was a gentle kind of comedy. In fact, so much so that I said to my wife after I watched it, I said, we should watch this. I think you'd like it, because it's not a gagorama, is it? I mean, it's not written as a laugh a minute. You know, you're going to split your sides watching it. I think it's more based in storytelling, in a sort of humorous way, and I think that's worth noting. That rather than, you know, it's not a gag fest. It's going to be something that's going to be gentler. I just wonder whether it could be something as simple as that, you know, at certain times when you sit down and watch these things, you're in the mood for a gentler paced comedy, and other times you're not. And that can be the difference between whether you say, yeah, I thought it was fantastic, or it really wasn't my cup of tea. It could be something like that, couldn't it, as well?
It could be, although that's why we do the second viewing or listening, depending on what the show is, to try and get rid of the complete randomness. But I know I wouldn't rule out feeling possibly different about other episodes, but I'm pretty sure about this one. It was pretty consistent for me between first playing and second playing.
Okay.
And the sad thing was, my heart was a bit heavy thinking, oh, have I got to watch this again?
Oh, man.
Which I know it's not like you come to it with a blank sheet, and perhaps my attitude was wrong going in a second time. It's not ideal. It's definitely not ideal. We're talking about that series. Yeah. Well, shall we hear? Sorry.
How weird! I was going to say because I said to Angelina, we should watch this. It's something I think you'd like. I don't mind. I'll watch the first episode again. So that'd be the third time that I watched it, and I still wouldn't have minded. So,
oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I know what I was going to say. I was going to say it's the genre I've given a name, but probably someone else. You know, if there's enough people on the planet, someone else has probably done that. I would call it a smile com.
Yeah.
Which is to say what you've said. It's a gentle comedy.
Yeah.
But I suppose when the lead is a stand-up comic, I'm still a bit disappointed if it's so gentle that I don't laugh at all.
Okay. Shall we have a final clip and see if we can at least raise a titter? Here's a weird thing as well. I really following on from the Wilsons' Save the World, was it? I can never remember the title of that one.
Radio 4 show
that we slabbed a couple of weeks ago. I love the kids in this. I thought the kids were brilliant, and the subplot, one of the strands throughout this was that I like that. You see, I like the way they were having their son was being bullied, and Romesh was being bullied by Dirty Harry, and the stories kind of ran side by side.
That's nice writing, and
you know, and you could see the conflict that he was having because he was giving his son advice, but he wasn't actually taking his own advice. And I kind of like that. I thought that was quite clever. Anyway, there is this kind of subplot where the son is saying that he's being bullied. And Romesh kind of sort of makes a throwaway comment as he does. He said, we shouldn't stand for it. He said, you should hit back. Not necessarily meaning you should clobber him or anything like that, but it doesn't go too well in terms of advice. And suffice to say that Romesh and his wife Natasha are then summoned to see the head of their son's school because apparently he's hit another boy.
I don't understand why you would tell your son to attack another pupil, verbally or otherwise.
Well, there had been some instances of name-calling.
Bullying.
That I had made his teacher aware of, but she may not have taken them on board. It's not her fault, it's just that there were a lot of parents talking to her and...
You didn't speak to her, did you?
No, I did, but she may not be able to verify that.
Charlie also said he was upset because a man told him he shoved chilies up dogs' anuses and wanted to do the same to children.
Well, he's taken that out of context.
Well, what was the context?
Well, a friend of mine was talking about greyhound racing and how they did the thing with chilies. It's probably like an urban myth or something. And anyway, he joked about the possibility of doing that at school sports day.
Well, that's exactly how Charlie described it.
Right.
And this was a friend of yours?
Well, it's a bit of a rough diamond. It was sort of just banter.
What friend?
Dirty Harry. Well, that's a nickname. He's not a road cop or anything. He's a regular at the pub.
Right. Is Charlie spending time in the pub?
No, this was on the street. It won't happen again.
No, none of this will happen again. We'll need to draw up a contract of behaviour.
See, I should sit with you on the sofa, albeit virtually, perhaps, under lockdown.
Did the chili thing didn't do it for you either?
Well, it's because Dirty Harry is such a dark character. It seemed that I couldn't find my way to finding laughs in him at all, including.
No, but it's not, is it?
About.
It's the way that she describes it, and then she.
Yeah, I know.
She describes it to him, and then he tries to discredit that, and she went, "Well, that's exactly how he described it." It was just, I don't know. I thought that scene was beautifully written.
It's nice writing, and they're sort of your son was in the pub. No, it happened in the street. And
then you could almost hear him thinking to himself, "Christ, that sounds even worse than saying it's." I'm actually saying this happened. Like my son's hanging around on the street now, and everything. I mean, I don't know if I could see a future self being summoned to the school.
Well, yeah, maybe identify.
I don't know, but yeah, I just.
You've got all that to look forward to.
You wanted to mention Vicky Pepperdine as the head. I mean, she's just awesome in everything she does, isn't she? Near enough, with probably one exception.
But you've said in the past that she always plays a sort of authority or posh
doctor or teacher, doesn't she? Yeah, very often.
But she does it very well. So hard to imagine her doing anything else. Yes. Well, no, I did appreciate the writing more there. And yeah, with you killing yourself laughing as it went along, it was hard not to at least crack a smile.
Oh, I'm so sad.
I'm sad. I've let you down. I've let Romesh down. I've let myself down. I've let our listeners down. Yeah, you name it. Shaun Gibson.
I really thought I found. I don't think we've liked the same thing for quite a few episodes now, and I thought I'd really found something.
I can't remember anything since The Pin, and that was about 20 shows ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even admit that at the time, because I didn't want to agree with you. No, I did.
No, they've been the odd one or two.
But yeah, I really thought, I sat there with a smug, stupid look on my face. So no change there then. But I
was going to say, yeah, the wind changed, and that's the only thing that changed, and you were stuck like that.
Stuck like it. But yeah, and I sat there and I did, and I thought, he's gonna love. How wrong can you be? How wrong can you be?
We just don't understand each other in this dysfunctional marriage that we're locked into.
No, we can't escape, so we're just going to have to get on with it. All right, who wants to go first on the old scores on the doors?
Well, you might be surprised. I'm tempted to put you... Can I put you first?
Yeah.
Are you... Yeah. Give me another 10 seconds thinking time.
Okay. Although I do wonder when I go first whether you change your mind.
I'll go first. If you're going to be like that,
okay.
If that was your calculation, I've fallen into your trap.
No.
I was just interrogating myself quite genuinely because I had something I was leaning more towards, and then I thought, or is it one of those? It's a half a point either way, but I am.
Do you know what we should do? Is write it down on a post-it note or something and hold.
Well, you have said that before.
Hold it up, shouldn't
Is it too late to write it now?
No, this doesn't make any difference now because you're going first. But you know, I'm trustworthy. Right. You're not. Is essentially what I'm saying.
I might not be able to read my own writing though. That's the danger of that.
That's true.
Anyway, I'm actually going to give it 3.
Ooh.
But regular listeners will know 3.5 is my default. So if all other things are equal, if I enjoy something without going mad about it, 3.5 is the norm. I don't feel so unkindly towards it because I think it's good production values and plenty of redeeming features, but just not that warmth towards it, a love for it, I'm afraid.
That is more than I thought you'd give it anyway. So and I feel a bit mean now, but I give it a 3.5.
Yeah, you are mean.
I just thought that was enjoyable. That was where it sits. I think it's it's not going to be a 4 or 4.5 because because it hadn't got the gag rate, but it never intended to have that kind of gag rate anyway. So 3.5 from me is for that is thumbs up and very respectable and very enjoyable, and I will be, unlike you, going off to seek to seek the rest of the series.
To seek your fame and fortune.
I want to seek my fortune on the streets of London, which is where I'm going to end up.
Or in the pub.
Yeah,
under Waterloo Bridge, probably. Well, no, good on you. I'm pleased for you. And do report back. I'm sure there's loads of reporting back I've referred to you at the end of shows, and you never do. But we usually go on for too long anyway, so there's no time there.
If I ever finish anything, I will let you know. But it's you know what it's like.
Is it not ham recently?
No, I haven't finished anything that I said I would. But it's not for the want of trying.
You have got 2 young children to look after. I'll grant you that.
Can I just a quick word of apology, by the way, because normally I'll put a link in where you can go and find this to watch it. But because it's a Sky offering, the best that I could do is show you where it was available to buy.
That's all right. I don't think you have to be quite so apologetic. They've got to make a living, haven't they?
Come on then, homework for next week.
Well, here's the thing. There is a connection between what we've just slabbed and what you're about to slab next week.
All right.
And our listeners will hopefully enjoy, which is, the common link is lemon. I don't mean Keith. I don't mean the citrus fruit, lovely though it is. I've been enjoying that with G&T. But hey, I mean, of course, the character Lemon, played by one Nick Helm. And he had a show that I saw part of a show a few years ago, BBC Three, when BBC Three was a grown-up TV channel. What Goes Around May Come Around Again. He was in a show called Heavy Entertainment, and he was the stand-up and presenter and key, blah, 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 blah. But that's not the show I want to put on the slab of comedy. It is, in fact, a show I think you'll have heard of. I would have thought you've seen. Have you seen Uncle?
No, I haven't. Actually, this is another one that I've got teed up and ready to go to, which I recorded at the time to watch.
Yeah.
And I haven't got around to it. So you've done me a favour again by forcing me to the trough to drink.
You can drag a Shane horse to water. Well, we'll see what you make of it.
Or as Stan Laurel used to say, you can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be lead.
Very good. Love it. Now, my now estranged wife used to love watching Uncle, and what? Not watching her.
I always think
because she thinks she's strange.
People mean strange when they say that. I've always thought it since I was a kid.
For legal reasons, I can't pick up on that. No. Strange. You know what I'm saying? No, don't.
Oh no.
But I'm trying to wonder. I'm asking myself, but out loud, clearly, why I never saw it with her, and it wasn't because we fell out. It was, I think, it must have. She was watching it as it went out in the days that one did such a thing on linear TV, as we must now call it. And I think it might have been choir night or whatever else night it was, but it wasn't Uncle night. So I'm going to be catching up, and actually there were 3 series in all. I'm going to go bang in the middle, so it's series 2, but to help us, and there must have been quite a few people, it must have been written to catch up, help people into it who hadn't seen any of series 1. So we won't be, hopefully, totally cut adrift. So I'm going to go for episode 1 of series 2. So S2E1 sounds like a postcode, but that's Uncle, not the man from Uncle. Don't confuse it with another well-known TV series.
Or The Man from Auntie, which was a comedy programme.
Which I worked on, yeah.
Did you?
We don't want to go into name-dropping territory. You know, I couldn't possibly do that.
Him and Ben Elton were like that in the BBC club afterwards.
Yeah. I'm sure I could... No. He didn't go to the BBC club. That sounded much more sinister than it was. But no, another time. Hashtag name drop another time.
All right. That's it for the Comedy Slab podcast for this week. Thank you very much for your company. If you want to go back through previous episodes, you are more than welcome. You can catch all of the catalogue housed at Spreaker.com if you want to go there and just put in Comedy Slab, all one word. But you'll find us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, most Stitcher, iHeart Radio.
Spotify, you haven't got round to?
Yeah, Spotify said that.
Did you say that? I can't remember.
Yeah,
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I fell asleep during that.
That was the
That's
one,
when I was yawning.
That was the one that I just mentioned. Did your ears pop? Is that what it is?
That's a comedy callback. Which film?
He's been swimming. No, I don't know. What was that?
There's a film where one character... It's a comedy deafness. Deafness isn't funny, but this is comedy deafness where he hears every other word. And you don't know? It's a very famous comedy film. It's Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau.
Oh, the odd couple. Yeah.
The Odd Couple.
That's
us, isn't it?
I do know the film. It's just been years since I've seen it. I wouldn't remember that from it. I wouldn't remember anything from it, actually, but there you go.
I just, it just stays in the memory for some weird reason. Have you finished your bit that I wasn't listening to? Yes, I repeated.
Yes, I have. Did you mention Spotify? Yes.
Spotify heard it. I'm going to mention Twitter, where we are at Comedy Slab. I actually think we've got a nice little account. Quality, not quantity, as I always say, which is good because, hey, everyone's a bit too verbose on Twitter, those that do it at all. And we are also at Comedy Slab. We have a Facebook page, same handle, at Comedy Slab. And if you could like that Facebook page, that'd be wonderful. And also follow us on Twitter at Comedy Slab. That'd be brill too. Personal recommendation, mano a mano or womano a womano or any combination of the above. That's not very good Spanish, I know that much. But anyway, get the message out and we'll love you even more than we already do. And that's also the case if you give us a nice, generous star rating on iTunes / Apple Pop. That was entirely attentional. Attentional, I think. I think it's time for bed, said Zebedee. Anyway, you know what I mean. Just rearrange those into meaningful words that you understand.
For my part, I'm going to stop sending him LSD in the post before each episode.
He means pounds, shillings, and pence, folks.
Yeah, and
don't stop that.
I'm off to go and enjoy a nice cup of butter coffee. You never heard of it? Well, then you're a loser.
And I am the kind of loser that, of course, as we've gathered, drinks only margarine tea.